Okay, so here's a little overview of how this After Effects template works. I wanted to make something super quick that I could just pop in to a phone if it had to be something kind of more generic and you just wanted something on the screen, or something I could quickly modify without having to rebuild this every single time. And in the times that I've had to use this, I actually end up using it mostly for the UI. I like being able to just grab the time, the Wi-Fi, the battery power, all that stuff. I think that stuff's been more valuable. It's a super quick jumping off point that you can use this in your project. So I'm going to do a little walkthrough here, show you how it's built and how you can modify it and use it. So right at the top, I have a color controls, which is essentially just a null object that I've linked up all the properties to just to make it easier to change things. Color messages, so that's your text messages here. So you change this and it'll change all your bubbles. And then same thing for the incoming ones. Change them all at once. I added a dark mode option here that you can click, and what that does is essentially just turns on and off an adjustment layer that inverts everything that's underneath it. So right here is the dark mode, so all that's doing is just turning the opacity on and off for that layer. So very quickly you can just have two different style looks. And then lastly, in this section you have the text color, so you can make the text. This is more useful when you're using the dark mode. I just have it set up so it's black as is, but if you go to dark mode, you're going to want white text. So with white text, you can just change it over. The next thing we have is a control layer. So this has more of your UI controls. So I'm going to zoom into the top here. I've set this layout so it's a little easier so I can show you each of these things. So this isn't your standard After Effects kind of workspace. It's just easier to show. So yeah, top right here. I'm going to hide some of the UI here. So Control-Shift-H will just hide that stuff for now. So yeah, I have this battery controller here that I've rigged up so that you can sit here and change the percentage. I have it set so that it's always whole numbers, and it also, as you can see, links up to the actually fullness of the battery icon. So I thought that was pretty neat. And then jumping over to hour and time, this one was pretty important to figure out. So obviously you want it to scroll up to whatever time you want, but you don't want it to go past it. So I have it locked at 12. And then the minute is also locked. So you can have it go whole numbers all the way up to 59. And then that's as far as it'll go. So then you can really fine tune the exact time frame you want for consistency. And then going back over to the right side, we have the Wi-Fi bars. So you have the Wi-Fi bar here. I have these just running as just checkboxes, so it just turns them off or turns them on. Or if you have like let's say a weaker signal, you can turn that down. Or if you can animate these on and off, you can have it feel like it's kind of like struggling to find signal or not. And then the same thing for the cell bars. You can just turn those on and off. Let's say you don't have too many cell bars in this area, and then you have no Wi-Fi. Then you do that. And then I'm going to turn the UI back on. Something I find when I'm doing phone screen replacements is everybody's phone is a little different. Sometimes you have the Apple notch here that comes in and knocks out some of the screen and then comes back up. And so I always find myself fitting these elements in there after I've done a screen track, because the track is never exactly the exact aspect ratio of the phone. So you kind of have to fudge some of this. So I tried to put most things I end up having to change myself onto null objects. So your master scale here will actually control everything besides the background. So if you did have like a phone that had like more inset pieces, you could do that. That way you can always have this little overflow here. And then everything individually also has that. So then let's say you wanted your notch on the iPhone that occupies this space. You can then just kind of take this and move it and then scale it to feature it a little bit easier to see depending on your shot and stuff. So everything has that. Everything has these nulls that you can just move everything independently. So the text is built on having a text layer that you can change, and then you have the bubble that it will modify itself based on the text size. So you kind of have two parts to every message that is sent or received here. So looking at these ones here, you have the bubble text, you have the bubble. It was blue originally before I modified this, but yeah, take your text and then double click and then just say your new text. And so the bubble is going to expand out there for you. Yeah, I recommend finding a text font that is going to be similar to what is actually used in UI. So I'm using SF Pro. This template isn't going to come with that because of the licensing, so I'd recommend finding a text that just fits UI. It really sells it having everything look like it would be when you stare at your phone, because you see this stuff every single day. So finding a font that is familiar to the eye is ideal. So something that you are going to have to do is, as you add more text bubbles, is you're going to have to do a couple slight custom tweaks. So I'm going to take this layer. Let's say I want to add another response to this further down here. So you're going to take bubble text and then the actual bubble itself that it contains. You're going to duplicate it. I can slide them up so that they stay together, and then hold shift and you can slide it down. The only problem is now, if you were to go in here and change your text to something else, the bubble doesn't listen to that text because the bubble is still, because we duplicated it, it's still listening to this text. So all you got to do is go to your bubble layer, hit U twice, and then you'll bring up, you have two expressions here that are driving the width and height of this bubble. All you got to do is modify these two here. So we can see that text bubble 5 is what we wanted to listen to. So let's just change this to 5 or whatever you've named it. Now your new text bubble will listen to whatever text that you were to add to it. And that's the mostly manual thing that you'll have to do, is just as you're adding these bubbles in or animating them, you're just going to have to make sure that the new ones are listening to each other after they've been duplicated. I think lastly, I've done something, it's a little bit of overkill, but I think once you remember that it's there, you won't even think about it. Is I have the incoming text, like who you're texting, is normally you double click, you start typing. I've actually set it so that whatever you name this layer will be used as the text. So just rename the layer and it will automatically rename for you. If you double click and try to rename it, it won't, because it's not listening to you actually typing the source text. If I hit you here, it's literally calling on the name of the layer itself. So just hit enter and then put your new name in. Yeah, that's about it. I really just built this to be something quick and dirty that you want to throw into your screen comps. Sometimes you just need some kind of UI in there so it's not a blank screen. Other times, some of these expressions have been super useful just to use it in portion. Like you don't have to use any of this actual messaging or any of the UI up here. If you just want to do what I do, is I usually keep these and add them to whatever screen that I've been given, whether it's a screenshot or an actual screen recording. Being able to modify these details are always useful. Something else I like about having this project on hand is that everything in here I've rebuilt inside of After Effects, so your project really is only consisting of the solids that are made inside of After Effects, and that's it. So for one, all of it is vector, so you really can just take this and scale it up and you're never going to lose resolution, so that's a plus, obviously. And then another thing is that this is just not a simple After Effects project. Like you don't have to have any file collected elements with it. There are no pictures or images that have to come along with this that always get unlinked or break whenever you move them around. Ideally, you have your After Effects project, and if you're doing your comp work inside of After Effects, you just import this project in and start modifying and changing it, or save this out as another version or whatever you want to do. But this is the only thing that consists of this whole project, so it's nice and light and highly efficient.